declaring the pledge. May the God known to each of us provide the strength and wisdom to perform the duties and fulfill the responsibilities required by our oaths of office. May our actions be pleasing to God and meet the expectations of the citizens we serve. Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go ahead and call our meeting to order for February the 18th, 2025. Council members, you have minutes before you from February the 4th. What is your pleasure?
I move we approve as dismissed.
Second. A motion and a second to approve the regular council meeting minutes for February the 4th. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have one individual sign in to speak. Jacob Mitchell, 703 Water Street. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. I'm here on behalf of a citizen. She's 94. She wasn't able to make it out tonight, but she wanted to do something that, like I said, that all of you don't get enough credit for, and that's credit. Dear Mr. Mayor, sorry, she didn't put council. Dear Mr. Mayor, first, I would like to thank you for providing the pickup of my garbage cans at the back screen door. It is very disturbing when an old woman realizes that she has to depend on good neighbors for jobs. Second, I wish to thank you and the crew who took such excellent care of our streets during the last snow. It was a monumental job. Thank you. Respectfully, Claire Rose Sadler, 865 Lee Street. And she wants me to give this to you to keep.
I was gonna say, if you wouldn't mind, we'll put that in our meeting minutes as well. If you give it to Rachel, we'll put it in our meeting minutes. But thank you, thanks for delivering that. I got a chance to talk to Claire Rose myself as well, so she is very appreciative. Thanks for delivering her letter, Jacob.
Yes, sir.
As far as departmental updates, before we get into any questions or anything for the police department or public works, you guys know what's been going on, flooding, and everybody's always worried about driving Main Street and when Route 60 is closed. There's not a whole lot we can do. It's been flooding that section since before any of us were around, I think. But for our knowledge and know what's going on, I've talked to the police department as well as public works, and as soon as everything's ready to be passable, and as soon as floodwaters came up, we went and put barricades up, worked with the Department of Highways about communication, as we always do. And as soon as everything's back down, we'll go over and do what we've done the last few turns of this happening, which is help them to get the road washed down and safely passable before the roads open back up. That I'm told that is by in the morning. I've been in pretty constant contact with Spencer Atkins for Channel 13 about the rise and fall of the crest of the river. That by in the morning it should be passable. So in the fashion that we've done before, as the lane going westbound opens back up, we'll get it open as soon as it can be done, and as the water continues to recede, we'll open back up as we can. So anybody who's asking those questions, that's who you communicate to them. That we're working with the Department of Highways as quickly as possible. It's no easier on us than it is on them. So that also leads me to, if you have not seen, we had a pretty sizable rock slide in the park over the time period that the storm and rain happened. Given the severity of that rock slide, it's probably not something in our wheelhouse that I feel comfortable with our guys performing the repairs and excavation on. I've instructed Danny, I've talked to John about this as well. This will be an emergency repair, just done as it needs to be done. There were a couple concerns about us. We have excavators, you guys know that, and we have guys who are willing to do that sort of work and probably have expertise to do that, but our equipment is not large enough at all, and nor do they do that on a normal basis. So I'm not real comfortable with our guys having to clean that mess up. Plus we have our own daily work things that they need to get done. So we'll be calling in a company to help us do that emergency repair to that hillside. Get all of what's out of there that's fallen, get all that's out of there that's a possibility of falling, and repair it to a point where it's stable again. And I don't think that's something that we should be doing on our own. So that's going to be an emergency repair coming out of our general fund budget. Now probably out of emergency fund. So just as a side note. And along that line, I'll tell you, Chief, and Danny, to your folks, during the snow and everything else that's going on, admirable job. Your guys have been on duty the entire time. They will be on duty tonight. I know as those floodwaters go down to let let people know and help get us some help in getting those roads cleaned up. That also includes the 4-H camp side. We put some signage out today because we don't want people going down into 4-H camp road and hitting that water either. Some of you were here earlier. Danny and I saw some people trying to drive through it today. Not smart. Some of our contractors who I mentioned earlier before the meeting started saw people drive through it and refuse to get out of their cars. So we're just trying to keep people safe, and that's what we try to communicate out when we're putting stuff out online. We're not trying to gripe at anybody about their time spent getting from here to there, but it's more important for their safety, and that's all that our street department and the chief and his officers are trying to do. So as you're communicating that out to people, I would encourage you to communicate that to them as well. You guys have work orders and such in front of you of what's going on. If there's any questions or comments now or suggestions that you've come across in the last couple of weeks for Public Works and or the police department, we'd welcome those now. Any questions for those guys?
I'm just curious with regard to, and I know that the traffic pattern is what it is, and I just wondered if it doesn't rise to some level of an emergency action type plan that we have, maybe because I heard it 100 times on the radio today about getting some help directing the traffic. Not just count on a red light, maybe, or the goodwill of someone that maybe you're going to let this guy turn left, or maybe he's going to have to sit there for 3 red lights. So I just didn't know if that was something, and I'm not talking about our officers necessarily, but that in conjunction with some kind of emergency plan that we could take, because like you said, it's going to happen again, and I just didn't know if that was something that be considered.
As many times as it happened, and Chief, I know that you go to the Homeland Security meetings way more than I'm able to go. You get into that discussion of who's responsible where. We had guys out directing traffic because we had a FedEx truck stuck under the underpass at 5:30 this afternoon. When you take guys off a shift, it spreads resources pretty thin. I would just suggest that, Chief, maybe we have that conversation at the Homeland Security meeting next time, where you've got all agencies that are there.
That's what I was referring to. I wasn't trying to put it on.
Oh, no, not at all. I didn't take it that way at all.
Route 60 was only flooded in Barboursville.
Right.
So the resources could, I would think, get some help from
State police, state police, county, someone.
Yeah.
We are a larger department than we used to be, but still, when you have that kind of thing and happen, and when it happens for as long as it's happening, it does stretch resources. So I mean, my only suggestion would be to have that conversation, Chief, maybe at Homeland Security for next time. Talk to those folks at the state police and the county on maybe having some traffic control help through those tough times.
Tonight, we have the minimum out. We have 3 officers out. So we are spread pretty thin whenever it comes to things like that. And as I was talking with Patrick beforehand, the 530 tractor and trailer was not the first one.
Right.
We dealt with probably, for some unknown reason, the Garmins are sending these truckers to the worst locations, and they have no place to turn around. Then you have truck drivers that don't speak English, and then you have to get out your translation, and so it's a plethora of a lot of problems.
Fortunately, it's few and far between for us, and hopefully not again this year. But sure, I appreciate the suggestion, buddy. We'll talk about that in Homeland Security with our fellow first responders. Any other questions or comments for department heads? Okay. One of the things I will say too before we move on, we did plan a work session for Thursday, which I'm gonna have to cancel. One, we've got some of the folks that are going to be there to deal with some flooding issues of their own. But I've also been asked to go be a part of a group to make a presentation to a company that would potentially locate at Tri-State Airport and would provide 400 jobs to the area. Probably the largest jobs announcement we think that's going to be made since Nucor was announced, and all those jobs are 6-figure jobs. It's a maintenance repair operation, and people are having trouble filling positions anyway. So there's a lot of work to be done, but we're going to go down and talk to those guys. If their facility in Melbourne, which they'll shutter and move to the airfield at Tri-State. As you all know, we have a board seat, and I serve on that board. So that's what's going on Thursday, besides the fact that we've got some of the folks that will be dealing with flooding. So if you could, please, text Rachel sometimes for next week. We want to get this thing back on track as soon as possible. We got information from our architects about that first kind of drawing that was sent out, along with some suggestions from them about how to manage this thing. So, if you get your times back to Rachel when you're done next week, that would be very helpful. Moving into the agenda, we don't have any old business. We've got a couple items of new business, and the first item is the consideration or approval of Resolution 2025-04, approving a 20% match grant funding for the study of Central Avenue and CSX underpass in the village of Barboursville. Janie, did you want to speak to that this evening?
Yeah, this is an old grant, probably 5 years old. It never did get underway, and we talked to Chris at Kiowa, and he's willing to revive it again. So this would be a study to see how to remedy the flooding for the underpass on Central Avenue.
Okay, this is a 20% match through Kiowa, which we had approved before, but because the funding had expired, we went past the time frame with Kiowa. This is a renewal of that 20% match for us. So I'll entertain a motion to approve that study and that resolution for that match.
I make a motion that we accept resolution 2025-04 as presented.
Motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion, questions, otherwise?
What, you talking about the underpass over
Right
here?
here.
Yeah,
Right here.
Central Avenue.
Why didn't it flood it?
We had to use a sewer pump year and a half ago to get water out of there. We had to bring in a pump on a trailer to get water out of there about a year and a half ago. So it still does have the problem of flooding from time to time.
It doesn't do it all the time.
No, it's not a constant. It's not a constant. It's not every time it heavy rains, but it does happen.
Right. And we
Yes.
don't want to end up like.
No,
But this is only a study to plot
To
the
fit-
correction.
yeah.
This is not
Yeah,
the.
right.
that is correct. This is not the correction.
Study to figure out how to correct
Where to send it, how to best manage it. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The second item is consideration to approve resolution 2025-05, approving a 20% match for a grant for the culvert and sidewalk replacement along College Avenue in the village of Barboursville. Randy, did you want to speak to that as well?
Yes, from Greenwood Way to the entrance of the park is the only area of sidewalk that don't connect the town to the Lake William. And that was our goal in the beginning, is to connect the town with the park. So, this grant was approved about 5 years ago. We never did get it underway, so we wanna revive it and see if we can get that going again.
Make a motion to
Yeah, you
approve
good?
2025-05.
All right.
So,
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2025-05. Is there any further questions? Sure.
I guess I had the gift of gab today, but,
It's all right.
will that include, remedying the, issue by, Mr. Ely's house?
Yes.
Where the,
Wall.
where
Yes.
the
Yeah.
wall that we've talked about
Yes.
being the wall of death for a long time?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But just so you know too, since we're talking about, we volunteered to saw that thing
I know
off
you
and
And
the
they
Department of
didn't- they
Highways
wouldn't
said,
let us do it.
don't touch
I
it.
know.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the 20% match for, the sidewalk project culvert along College Avenue. That's resolution 2025-05. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
One question about this,
Yep.
do we put that out for bid, or is that going through, I mean, the funds are coming from elsewhere, but who bids out both of these projects?
Yeah, normally the highway department puts it out for
Okay.
Yeah, once the funding's approved and everything goes through Kiowa, the Interstate Planning Commission, and the roadway, they're called the Interstate Planning Commission.
But anyhow, Kiowa's in charge,
So they'll be
they want us to do what we can, or,
Yep, we're
That's what I
matching.
figured, that's one of the-
Yep, we're only matching funds, that's all.
Okay.
Okay, we have voted, correct? Yes, okay. That brings us to the end of our regular agenda. I would say, I don't have anything else. I think I covered everything and made some comments, which we'll start when you're in this evening.
I don't have much, but, I did wanna thank John for getting all this together for us to look at and, thanks for all your hard work. I know you spent lots of time on it, so I appreciate you.
Ditto what Rachel said, and thank you for coming, Jacob. That's it.
Today I was noticing I was coming across the bridge, it's coming from down to Main. One of the brackets is broke on the railing on the concrete that's like this high. It's one bracket's like this and it's got 4 big bolts in it. It's pushed off and it doesn't look like the handrail's gonna fall off, but it does have a lot of raw metal that's been.
The left side as you're coming up, like the
Yeah, it's
rail.
gonna be on the left as
Okay.
you're coming toward Main.
Okay,
It's toward the farm building, but it looks like it could definitely let
Okay.
somebody free up.
we'll call somebody from the bridge department. It's on the bridge, right?
It's on.
Okay, yeah, we'll call somebody from the bridge department and get them over there. Thank you.
Everything else is great.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen, for all that you do for the city, and Jacob, thank you for being here. Thank you.
I got nothing, I won't be very forever. Donnie can do that.
I just had a couple of quick things. One thing, I want to thank all city workers for everything they do, and I'm hoping that we get a second opinion on the Groundhog Day, and spring comes sooner rather than later. And I do have one suggestion to close with, and that is that the next time it floods, the fire department needs to plan their boot drive.
That's pretty good.
That's all I got.
That's pretty good. I'll make sure that Andrew knows you suggested that. That's really good, actually. Yeah. I will say a couple other things, just a couple quick things. Got a nice note. We sent flowers to the Turner family from when Karen passed away. Got a nice note back from them, thanking the village for the arrangement we sent. There was something else I was going to make you guys aware of too. It it was something in the mail. Oh, the cat truck. The cat truck they needed an emergency forklift last week, and the Barboursville Baptist said thank you profusely. So I want to make sure that was put out there as well. If there's nothing else to come before the council tonight, we will adjourn the meeting. Thanks everyone for coming.